Hi, my name is Julia, and today I want to speak to you about how you can live a more aligned and authentic life. And I'm going to give you 3 points that you can use to create this in your life. Now, before we start off, I just want to be completely transparent and say that I am currently living in Mexico, living my dream life. I am living with my partner. We're both working from home. And so we are doing the best that we can to figure out how to navigate making group calls or making videos or doing our jobs in the same environment. It's been a little while since I've actually made a video that I've posted online, and so I just want to be transparent and authentic with myself and say that I'm just chilling out on the balcony right now, enjoying the sunny weather, but there is some background noise going on that may interfere with this video. May not be the best, top quality that I want for myself, and sometimes I'm going to be nervous and express myself in ways that I could judge myself for. But this video is about being authentic, showing up as I am and being okay with that, loving myself as I am, as I'm showing up today, to inspire you to learn to love yourself for the person you want to become and the ways that you show up in life. So please forgive the cars and bikes and people and dogs and whatever else you may hear in the background. This is all part of my journey, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to be sharing it with you in every capacity that it shows up. Okay, so connecting with myself, connecting with my breath, my message here today. I am an alignment coach, and this journey for me has been quite the process of learning when and how I know I'm in alignment and when and how I know that I'm not. Sometimes I refer to this as acting as my authentic self, showing up authentically in life, but I also refer to it as living in alignment. Many of us go through life believing that we are living an authentic life in the way that we express ourselves, the way that we dress, the way that we show up. But for myself, for my own life, I've recognized that I actually held myself back in many different ways from living the most aligned and authentic life that I could be living. I held myself back in my relationships, in the job that I had, in the ways that I would express myself. I acknowledged how much I put the needs of others before my own, and what this actually did to my body. Over time, I started to feel really heavy. I felt low in energy because I just didn't have the enthusiasm for life that I wanted. I had a job that I didn't love, and I would wake up every morning just not even wanting to get out of bed because I knew that where I was putting my energy wasn't fully aligned with my values, my highest good, and the impact that I wanted to be making in the world. Like I said, had a job that I didn't love. I was eating a lot of things and drinking or smoking things that I knew weren't aligned with my message of health that I wanted to be living for myself, but not just for myself, but to inspire others to do this as well. But the job that I had, I often felt very stressed, and so I would compensate and self-medicate that stress by smoking weed or drinking coffee or eating sugar, just anything to make me feel good in that moment. I also recognized that because of these behaviors, I felt a certain level of shame and guilt in my day-to-day life, and so I wasn't showing up authentically in my relationships. whether they were with my friends, my parents, my intimate partner. I was holding myself back from expressing what I really wanted to share because I had this shame, this guilt, this heaviness that I felt couldn't be seen. I had this feeling of not enoughness. And this part of myself, this shadow self that I didn't want other people to know about. I didn't want others to know that I was trying to inspire health, but eating sugary foods on the other hand. I felt like a fraud in a lot of different ways. I was living in a place that didn't really feel aligned for me either. I was close to my family and I loved that aspect, but I knew in my heart that it wasn't really where I wanted to be living in the world. I felt like I was just going through the motions. And something in me shifted. I recognized that if I kept going on the path that I was on, I was never fully going to feel aligned, inspired, enough. I was never fully going to love myself until I shifted into alignment with this idea, these values, these deeper levels that I knew I am capable of, and I know that I want to inspire the world to act out and be as well. When I had this realization that something needed to change, it was quite a pivotal moment in my life because it brought up a lot of fear for me. I had a lot of fear about expressing myself, letting myself be heard, be seen, being honest about the suffering that I was really experiencing, because I had this idea in my head that I was supposed to be happy. I was supposed to help make other people happy, and in order to do that, I thought I had to suppress my own emotions, suppress any negative thoughts, experiences, feelings that I may have been having, because I didn't want people to see that part of myself. But the more I suppressed this energy, the more stressed, the more anxious, the more depressed I became in my life, because I knew I was not living authentically. So these are the three things that I did to, among other things, but here are three things that I did to really check in and connect with what my authentic life is, that I would love for you to practice and take on in your own life so that you can also live as your most authentic, as your most aligned self. Okay, so number one was to really trust my intuition and connect with the messages that my body was telling me. When I first decided to make this shift, I was living and working at a job that I did not like, working for a company that I didn't fully feel represented the values that I had for myself. I am a huge advocate of health, and I know that health is comprised of 4 different bodies. There's the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body. And the job that I had at the time focused mainly on the physical body. And so when I would have conversations with people, it would largely be about their physical health. But I noticed myself holding back, containing, expressing, or rather not expressing, how these people could change their health overall by involving all of these areas, not just the physical body. And so as I would go about my day doing this job, I felt that I was sequestering the knowledge that I really had, and I wasn't allowing myself to be expressed. And so by the end of the day, I would often feel really heavy. I would often go home crying at night because I just, like, something in my stomach told me that I wasn't honoring myself, that this wasn't what I really wanted to be doing. And so the more that I learned to listen to my body, listen to the messages that it was telling me, listen to that sickening feeling in my gut that literally was just like a gut-wrenching feeling that told me I'm not happy. Like, I'm just not happy. And that brought up a lot of fear for me as well, because I knew that if I were to really align my life, I was going to have to make some big changes. And so that's exactly what I did. I changed my job. I decided that I was going to be self-employed instead. I was no longer going to be working for a bigger company. This brought up a lot of fear, don't get me wrong. But I've also felt much more empowered as a result of that. And I've felt much more connected with my body and my highest good as a result of that. The second thing that I did was begin to listen to my emotions. So not only was I connecting and building that relationship with my physical body, so recognizing when I felt stressed, where in my body was I holding that tension? Where in my body was I feeling heavy? But I also then allowed myself to connect those physical sensations to the emotional responses. So acknowledging that I was not feeling happy, acknowledging that I was feeling sad, acknowledging that I was feeling fearful, that I was feeling unworthy, not enough, that I was feeling a lack of self-confidence. Digging into and allowing myself to experience those deeper, heavier emotions connected me with my inner guidance system that told me something needed to change. Because for so much in my life before this time, I would often ignore those signals. I would ignore what my physical body was telling me, and I would ignore and suppress the emotions that wanted to come up as a result. But the more that I started to focus on my body, either by meditating or just sitting in stillness, sometimes even doing yoga practices, these started to allow my body to relax more, which then allowed the emotions to come to the surface. And these emotions, while sometimes overwhelming at first, are also such a beautiful guidance system to let us know when we are living in alignment and when we are not. When we are living authentically and when we are not. The third thing that I did to bring this practice of alignment and self-awareness into my life on a more regular basis was to build a relationship with my inner child. I recognized that a lot of the ways that I was holding myself back was because I was not processing the emotions that I had when I was younger during those times when I created the beliefs that I'm not enough. I could never be successful doing what I wanted to. I could never possibly speak my truth and be loved at the same time. And so I started to journal, and sometimes with an inner dialogue and sometimes on paper. And I do want to encourage the actual writing down of this dialogue, of having a conversation with the inner child, because I recognize for myself especially, and even the clients that I work with now, that writing out this dialogue, like having a conversation with our inner child and just offering the love and support and growth, allowing that inner child to be expressed in the way that they perhaps weren't when the actual physical belief or trauma was first created, that by building that relationship and that safety now allows those emotions to be felt, expressed, and allows them to move through, so that we can then change the behavior and align ourselves without that intense fear, without that intense anxiety, without that intense like physical body reaction that may come up had we not had this inner conversation and allowed this energy to move through. Because the more that we allow this energy to move, the more aligned we will naturally feel. If we had a belief when we were younger that we could not possibly be successful, maybe because we thought it would make our sibling jealous, or our parent wouldn't fully love us and accept us, and so we hold and contain that energy and don't allow ourselves to be successful, for example. But then connecting with that belief, connecting with our inner child, having that conversation to say, hey, I know you created this belief when you were younger, but I just want you to know that you have that full ability, capacity, and permission to be successful now. And so having that conversation, recreating that belief, allows that energy to move through. And this is even more beautiful if there are emotions that want to be released as a result of this practice. So then once that belief has been changed and those emotions have been released, it is much easier to then realign and take actions that will allow you to feel successful, because you've reinstalled the software in your brain. So those were the 3 things for myself that really helped me to connect with my own authenticity and alignment. And these are some of the things that I teach my clients to do as they are checking in with and aligning their lives. For myself personally, making these changes in my life and living a more aligned life has helped me to feel much more energized, much more outspoken. I give myself permission to actually be myself in my relationships. I don't stuff down and hold down my emotions, and so when I wake up in the morning, I feel a lot lighter. I feel a lot more energized. I feel happier in life because I know I'm showing up in a way that feels like it feeds my soul. It opens my heart to give myself permission to be me, knowing that I will be fully loved and accepted as a result. So these are 3 things that you can implement in your own life to really feel inspired and aligned. And I encourage you, if you are a woman who wants to create more alignment in your own life, to reach out, to have a conversation with me. Because in the next 30 days, I am on a mission to coach 30 women around creating more alignment, more authenticity in their own life. So if this sounds like you, if this sounds like something that you want, please reach out, send me a message, and I would be happy to hold a conversation with you, a coaching conversation, absolutely no strings attached, free of charge, to help me in my mission of supporting the women who I know can fully be empowered and powerful in their own lives. To give women permission to be themselves, as I've been learning to give myself permission to be myself. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for showing up as your authentic self in the best way that you can in this moment. And I would love to be a part of that journey, to helping you open that and expand it even more. Much love and peace, my sisters, and namaste.